Hi, YouTube fans. This is Matt of Post April 6th YouTube. Today is July 13th, 1973. Do you know what that means to me? This is my 52nd birthday. I repeat, it is my 52nd birthday. Back in 1973, Denver, Colorado, or let me rephrase that. Downtown Denver, Colorado, and the rest of the city and county of Denver, and probably the Denver metro area, was a whole different scene back then. Houses looked different. Retail stores look different, and the ones that are still open back then, they look different now versus then, and very few look about the same. And if they do, unless they're well kept up or they've been touched up pretty good, they look quite old. Cars, the cars that were out there on the streets in 1973 versus now, completely different story. Completely different story. And there were a handful of people who had not cell phones, mobile phones. They were more, even though it was through a mobile signal, it was analog. Mobile phones. And they were phones that looked quite similar to the the traditional desktop phones, that were made by Western Electric, ITT, and I think later GTE kind of had pretty much the same type of basic traditional desktop phones. And the other thing is, a polo shirt like this back in 1973 didn't exist. Well, that's not entirely true. It would be fabric like this, but it would be a different shade, slightly different shade of this color, and the color would be pretty much the same color as the shirt. And it would have a pocket somewhere in here, either on this side or on this side. And short sleeve button down shirts that were just white shirts, blue shirts, dark blue shirts, brown shirts, yellow shirts, gold shirts, turquoise, light green, red, light red, kind of a pinkish color or a peach color, that were either short sleeves or long sleeves, or had that loud 70s paisley look, or that loud that kind of loud, plaid look, or it would be a quieter version, but it had that nerdy 70s look. Forgive me to the elderly people, because a lot of those people who wear those shirts, they look good in them, because something about their characteristics and how old they are, they look pretty good in that shirt. But a young person, that's not going to happen in every case. But I'm sorry, they're gonna look really funny, and you're really gonna want to laugh at them. Oh boy, forgive me, dear Lord. I shouldn't make fun of people like that. That's not nice. Okay, well, as of this moment, even though I have already discussed what happened in 1973 and how the style of life was different, here's what's going on here, right now. July 25th, July 13th, 2025. I just came from the laundry room about 5 to 6 minutes ago, and I have one load of clothes that are going to be pants, shirts, and undies, nice boxer shorts, are in the dryer. Oh yeah, and there's a towel in there too. There's a bathroom towel, regular sized bathroom towel, not a hand towel. And there's another load that is in the washer that is all whites, mostly socks, handkerchiefs, white undershirts, and two mostly white colored t-shirts that because of the decal on them, like the Mr. Rogers Neighborhood shirt, I have washed it on Delicate's Cycle and cold water. Not warm, cold water. So once the load that is in the dryer that is more heavier fabric, non-whites, multicolored clothing is done, I'm immediately going to pull it out of the dryer, and I'm going to fold up the shirts that go in the chest of drawers, and I'm going to put the other things up on the hanger and put it in the coat closet, because the coat closet isn't some itty bitty little thing. It's huge. In fact, here, hold on, I'll demonstrate. See, that's how large the coat closet is. And what else I'm going to do while the clothes are in the washer and the dryer is I'm going to pause recording here pretty soon, and I'm going to find some photographs that are public domain of the way Denver looked in the 1970s, between about 72 and 74, to give people a not more, but actually a completely accurate photographic description of what Denver looked like back then when I was an itty bitty little kid. Please stay tuned. There's gonna be more. Thank you. Stay tuned. Just sit tight. Hello again, YouTube fans. This is Matt, and I'm waiting for the bus. And guess where I'm going? CIGARS on 6th. Yeah, I'm gonna have some fun. Here comes the bus. Here comes the bus. Yep. See you later. Well, I'm back again, YouTube fans. Yeah. Where I am right now is I am in the Lowry neighborhood of Northeast Denver on East 6th Avenue and North Quebec Street. I am waiting for a lift ride to CIGARS on 6th. Yeah, that may not be much of a big deal to the viewer, but it is to me because I've been there before and I'm going to have fun. Fun. Yep. And before I go into CIGARS on 6th, I think what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to eat a nice meal at Barbecue Brothers, which is right across the street. Yep, I sure will. I'm sure going to enjoy it. Yeah. So, please stay tuned. There's going to be more and more. All right. Thank you. I just left CIGARS on 6th. I was going to do some filming inside there, but no, I decided against it, so I'm waiting for this. RTD. Yep. I'm going to take RTD home because, even though I'm not broke, I'm on a tight budget. And I need to make what earnings I have left last for a few more days before payday. But When I get home, I'm going to have a nice, delicious pizza, a fresca, or freschetta, I think it is, freschetta pizza, to warm up in the oven and cook it till it's cooked, and have some nice supreme pizza. Yeah, it's going to taste really, really good. And I'll be able to pet my wonderful cat, Isabella. And if she is out and available, I'll film her too. So, just keep staying tuned. There's going to be more. Sun's going down, and I caught the second bus to get myself home. Stay tuned, YouTubers. Like I've already said several times, it's going to get more exciting. You just watch. Hi there, kitty. Hi, Isabella. How you doing? Yeah, it's 11:30 p.m. and 52 years ago, my mommy gave birth to me in the hospital. Did you know that? And my mommy's name, even though she would like to be called Kay or Katie, her actual birth name is Alice Catherine Pike, until she married Daddy, and then her name became Katie Chipman. Yeah. But unfortunately, I don't see my mommy anymore because she passed away. Yeah, she had a third heart attack coupled with complications of diabetes. But even though I don't have my mommy anymore, I'm still happy because I'm still alive and well. And as you know, I luckily survived a near-death experience. Now, I'll stop talking to you because I know you really want to think about cat stuff. Okay? And you can come up and sit next to me because I'm about to start the YouTube vlog. Okay, I'm finally back there, YouTube fans. Yeah. Well, as you have probably already seen previous to me doing this part of the vlog from inside my nice apartment house, and an area that would be called the YouTube staging area, so to speak. You've just seen some images of 1973. One was an aerial photograph of the area near of downtown and nearby downtown, and another one was a image of the, I think it's Ebbets Tower, and where that is, for the life of me, I don't remember exactly where it is, but I'm assuming that it is somewhere near either 15th Street, 14th Street, or something to that effect. And there's another one that is a broad view of what Colorado Boulevard looked like back in 1973. And there is, there's images of Colfax, and it's near Colfax and Downing. It's Mountain States Bank. Because back then, Mountain States Bank was owned by a corporation that I would assume would be Mountain Bank States FDIC, something like that. You know, the formal type of name that a bank must have. But nowadays, because of the growth of the UMB Bank Corporation, UMB Bank bought Mountain States Bank, and there is absolutely, totally, without a doubt, unequivocally, no more Mountain States Banks. And UMB Bank is also bought not only, like I've already said, Mountain States Bank. They bought Columbine Bank. Yep, yep. They're, I don't know how big they are now, but for a while there, between the late '90s and the 2000s, they were growing like this. They kept growing. And guess who just popped up next to me? Hi, sweetie. Hi. Yeah, it's you, Isabella the cat. How are ya? Okay, I'll put you down. I could not fully decide what to talk about. So why don't I start off by discussing this? Here's what went on today. I woke up somewhere between 9:45 and 10, and I laid in bed trying to get back to sleep, but I couldn't. And then a little after 11, I got up, I turned on the smartphone, and I ordered some food through Uber Eats. What it is it's a buy one get one free BYO, build your own breakfast burritos. And I paid for 26. Hold on a second. Let me verify that. I had to double check that before I said it. $26 worth of breakfast burritos for a little more than $13, plus a small service charge for delivery and sales tax. And for a little more than $20 and change, including a tip, I got the 2 breakfast burritos delivered to me within about 25 to 30 minutes. And believe me, I ate both of them because they're really delicious. They had eggs, a little bit of potato, and there was a nice shredded cheddar-like cheese, and there was also some salsa verde, and it was really delicious. One of the things that I did before I actually ate them is I unfolded them out of the cellophane wrap. It's kind of like aluminum foil, but a little different. And I popped them in the microwave for about 30 seconds before I ate them to make sure they were good and hot, because I tell you, I do not like food that is cold. And what tastes even worse than that, to me anyway, is a combination between warm and slightly cold, and you're like, ugh. So I popped them in the microwave before I ate them as a good precautionary thing. Good precautionary measure. And I ate them both. And then I watched some things on YouTube that I wanted to. And I also, when I got around to it, I popped a load of wash into the washer. And then somewhere in there I showered and shaved and got fully dressed. And then I took the full load of wash from the washer, put it in the dryer. In fact, I might have already mentioned that, but I'll say it again anyways. And then I took a smaller load that was whites only, and I put that in the washer and then in the dryer. And I put everything away but the whites, except for a couple of things that needed to be put away right away because they were a must, because otherwise they get really wrinkly and they would look kind of sloppy when I put them on. One was a tattered cover T-shirt, the most recent one that I bought about 2-3 months ago, and the other one was the Mr. Rogers Neighborhood trolley T-shirt. It has a really nice Mr. Rogers Neighborhood logo. And then what I did was I left the house at the right time to go to catch the 73 on South Quebec. because I'm not going to tell you where I live, but the distance between where I live and South Quebec near Hamden stop, it's about a 15-minute walk. And I showed up about 3 minutes early, roughly, and I bought a 3-hour pass. And then I got on the bus when I was supposed to, and I took it all the way to the Lowry neighborhood on 6th Avenue and North Quebec. And I searched through both Uber and Lyft, and finally I decided the best rate was the Lyft Wait and Save. So, because that was only about $10.99. And what I did was I waited patiently for the ride, and the man, the driver, I really shouldn't say this, but I'll make an exception this time. The driver named Randall was a pretty neat guy, and he was a good conversationalist. And he got me to Pearl and East 6th Avenue. Actually, it was Washington and East 6th Avenue. And then I walked into Barbecue Brothers, and as I've already displayed through one still photograph, I ate a nice rib. I think it was more like a pork rib, and a side of mashed potatoes and gravy. And then when I was done eating that, I got the bottled water that I bought with the order, and I walked across the street to Cigars on 6th. And I kept looking and looking and looking and looking and looking and looking, and I was just thinking, I don't want to get a quorum cigar. And the Alcazar is going to be just a little bit too pricey because I'm on a tight budget. So then I looked at the through the factory seconds, and I thought, okay, factory seconds it is. And the good thing was I got a $1 discount because it's my birthday. And I only had to pay $3.62. Yep, cha-ching. And then when I polished off the cigar, and it was about 5 minutes before closing at 7 p.m., I got up and I walked over to Washington and Spear to wait ever so patiently for the 83L. And I took the 83L until I got to Parker Road and South Quebec, because how the stops are is when you're on this side of South Parker and that diagonal street, you're on Leetsdale. When you're on this side over here, you're on South Parker Road, because the street name changes right there. Yep. And I went over to about roughly about 150 feet approximately to where I was supposed to go to wait for the 73. And I took the 73 just a little bit past East Hamden, and then I walked down a street that would lead me to the apartment. And then what I did after that was just a second. Okay, I got some cherry citrus Popwell. I just had a real urge to drink it because I drank some yesterday and I got late at night, and then I put the cellophane over it and I put a rubber band to do a tight securing of the food wrap or saran wrap, as some people call it. And I needed to get that drink. So, anyways, after I, hold on a second. Okay, so after I got home, oh yeah, I popped in. No, actually, I warmed up the oven. I warmed up the oven to 400 degrees. And once the oven got warmed up for 26 minutes, I let some really nice frozen pizza called, I think it's Freschetta. And I got that baked, and I had about 3 or 4 slices with some nice made in Mexico bottled Coca-Cola Classic to drink that down with. And then what I did was I edited the video to keep things moving along. And then what I did was I watched part of Zodiac 2007 that is done by David Fincher, starring Jake Gyllenhaal, Robert Downey Jr., and Mark Ruffalo. And I watched the special edition part where I saw how the filming was done, and I watched the part where they do called the facts, where they talk about the murders that took place. And there were parts of it I had to fast forward through because Mike Mageau, I had to fast forward through him because he's got one of these voices where he sounds like he's drunk. I used to think he was a practicing alcoholic, but no, I don't think he did. I think when he got shot in the throat, either here or it hit his tongue, he has some speech problems. And I just didn't want to hear his voice because it's more than the voice, it's his body language. I'm just like, what's going on with you, man? I'm really sorry that happened to you, but you're acting like a drunk who wants everybody to feel sorry for you. Oh well, I'm not going to say anything more. It's not worth it. Oh, and then what I did was, as I was contemplating what to do for the remainder of the YouTube vlog, I watched a rerun of The Honeymooners. And it's an episode where there is a rumor and possibly a high possibility that he's going to be assistant traffic manager for the Gotham Bus Company. I'm talking about Ralph Cramden, played by Jackie Gleason. And seeing him rehearse, and seeing his buddy Norton rehearse, and then seeing him rehearse, and just how he was, how he would talk and express himself in his body language. He really made me laugh so hard. Oh boy. I think I started coughing at one point because I laughed so much. And then after that was over, I thought, okay, I got to get this done. Now, what I think would be interesting to discuss, and this is concerning 1973, are these things. Hold on. I'm gonna verify wages. Okay, I just verified something. And the minimum wage back in 1973, according to the fact that this had been in effect since 1970, and there was no changes between 1970 and 1973, was $1.60 per hour. Well, $1.60 an hour back in 1973 would be, hold on, I'm going to do a cost of living calculation through AIER.org. Okay, $1.60 in 1973 is the equivalency of $11.30 now. In Denver, $1.60 an hour actually probably had the buying power of this much in today's money. $17.55 at least. So why don't I calculate what $1.60 an hour times 40 hours times an annual salary would equal in raw figures. If someone was earning only $1.60 an hour times 40 hours times 52 weeks, that would come to $3,328 of annual income. Back then, even back then, quite unfortunately, that's not much money. Okay, let me divide $3,328 by 12. $277.33 per month. Yep. And back then, if you had any tax withholding, which probably wasn't much, that would hold on. That wouldn't be very much. That wouldn't be dirt poor, but that still wouldn't be very much money. You wouldn't be anywhere. You wouldn't be in the middle class. Quite unfortunately. But the good thing was, back then, in 1973, you could find a decent apartment for less than $150 per month. Yep. A 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom. Yep. And seeing how this $1.60 was state minimum, was federal minimum wages. Federal minimum wages. If you lived in areas such as Burlington, Colorado, Brush, Colorado, Hotchkiss, and hold on, Fountain, Colorado, and Beulah. These are pretty small towns. I'm not going to put in how much you pay in Pueblo because, yeah, it's going to be cheaper than Denver, but who cares? That town is, because I lived there for 3 years. I don't know this in theory. I know it as a fact because I actually experienced it. Pueblo's a dump. It's a lot of the houses are dirty and look like crap. They do. Okay, enough about Pueblo, because there are some good things about Pueblo, but there's a lot of bad dudes out there, and I mean bad. Yeah, most of the parts of the east side, I totally stayed away from it. That's why I didn't get jumped in Pueblo. Okay. So you could find a decent home and you know, forget Denver, forget the immediate Denver metro area. In Brush, Hotchkiss, Beulah, Cortez, I didn't mention them before, and Burlington. You could probably get a good mortgage on a house that was less than, in 73, $30,000. Yeah. Let me do a little more math to see what the mortgage payment would be per month. Just a minute. Okay. If you found a house, whether in any of those towns I just mentioned, small towns, for $24,000, and you got approved for a mortgage, which I think would be a little bit easier because they weren't as strict then as they are now, you would only be paying, this is not including property tax, interest, mortgage insurance, and home insurance, $66 a month. That's just for the raw payment, not including interest and property tax, mortgage insurance fee, and home insurance. Because a lot of mortgage lenders, they make it a mandatory requirement that you get mortgage insurance, or excuse me, mortgage insurance and home insurance. And if you live in a flood zone, you got to have flood insurance, home insurance, mortgage insurance, pay property taxes, interest, and the general principal payment for the of the loan itself. And if you were only paying $66 a month for a house, you're not getting off scot-free. You're not. Because back then, you had to pay probably at least $25 for a water bill. Okay, hold on. Let me calculate something here. Okay. At 7.89% interest on a $66 a month mortgage loan, plus mortgage insurance, plus home insurance, plus the water bill, the sewage bill, the electricity bill, and the telephone bill, would be $249.88. Let me do just a little bit more mathematics here really quick. Yeah, your telephone, if you're only making $1.60 an hour bare minimum wage, plus the $249.88, okay, $249.88 times 50, $249.88 minus 256. Yeah, you only got $6.12 left. So you owning a house with that much monthly costs, and you're only earning $1.60 an hour, not good at all. So a lot of those people probably earned at least $4 an hour to have some decent bucks coming in their pocket. Just a thought. You know, just a thought. And the other thing is I did some research on cars a few hours ago, and you could find a pretty decent new car for less than $5,000 back in 1968. So let's not look into how much somebody's earning per month. Let's not look into that. So $4,000 divided by, if you got a $4,000 loan, and I think back then it was a 5-year automotive financing loan that you had 5 years, and you had 5 years to pay it back in monthly car payments. The monthly car payments for let's forget about the car insurance, the car loan, or an automotive financing loan, would be $66.66 per month. More like actually $66.67 per month. Yeah. Those were the days. Those were the days. And if you got a used car and you bought it outright, you had nothing to worry about with car payment. But if the car was 10 years old and it's running just fine, then all of a sudden it don't run no more, you better find an automobile repairman that ain't going to charge you an arm and a leg. It's a fact of life. It's part of life, whether we like it or not. It's true. And if you just don't want to bother to fix the car because you want to save up some money to get it fixed, if you can't walk to work, you better have pretty good public transportation or get rides from coworkers. Because if you don't have a ride from a coworker, walk yourself, or good public transportation, you're, pardon the expression, you're really up shit creek. Yep, it's true. You're really stuck between a rock and a hard place, and life will suck. Well, that's about it. I hope everybody found what I said about the buying power of 1973 and how much someone would have to earn, or if they were, the buying power that they had, if they were only earning $1.60. In fact, before I go, let me bring up one more fact, and then I'll end the vlog. Okay, the average annual earnings back in 1973 were $8,060. I personally think that it was more like somewhere between $4,800 and $11,000. And $11,000 back in 1973 was pretty good earnings. You were in the middle class for sure. You weren't in the low middle, but you were in the average middle or middle, not the middle high. No, not back then. Well, thank you, everyone. I hope everybody found what I said interesting. I sure tried to do the best I could, but I had so many things racing through my mind. It was hard to make up my mind and get things clear on what I wanted to do and what I was trying to accomplish with the vlog. But thank you, everyone, and goodbye.